Chairman Maliki, I am the chairman of the Staten Island Libertarian Party, the party of the Constitution. I'm actually holding a copy in my hand, and in Article 6, Section 3, it says, no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. You have said before that you wouldn't want a Muslim to be president of the United States. How could you reconcile this?
That's very easy to reconcile, actually. If you go back and look at what I said I would not want a Muslim who accepted all the precepts of Islam, including Sharia. Sharia is not compatible. Having said that, I grew up in Detroit, which has a very large Muslim community. And I know a lot of Muslims who, in fact, have accepted America as their country, have accepted.
So do you believe that Islam is consistent with the Constitution?
No, I don't. I do not. I would not advocate that we put a Muslim in charge of this nation. I absolutely would not agree with that.
And would you ever consider voting for a Muslim for Congress?
Congress is a different story, but it depends on who that Muslim is and what their policies are.
We have a problem in this country. It's called Muslims. We know our current president is one. Right. You know he's not even an American.
We need this
birth
question.
certificate, man. But anyway, we have training camps growing where they want to kill us. Mm-hmm. That's my question. When can we get rid of
We're going to be looking at a lot of different things. And, a lot of people are saying that, and a lot of people are saying that bad things are happening out there. We're going to be looking at that and plenty of other things.
You are running to be president of the United States of America. That includes millions of peaceful, law-abiding Muslim American citizens who love this country. This man said, quote, we have a problem in this country. It's called Muslims. Now, you are not responsible for what he says, but this is raw, unvarnished, ignorant bigotry. You are a leader. You're the front runner in the Republican race. Do you not have a responsibility to call out this hatred?
Well, we could be politically correct if you want, but certainly, are you trying to say we don't have a problem? Because I think everybody would agree. I have friends that are Muslims. They're great people, amazing people, and most Muslims, like most everything, these are fabulous people, but we certainly do have a problem. You have a problem throughout the world.
What's the problem?
Well, you have radicals that are doing things. It wasn't people from Sweden that blew up the World Trade Center, Jake.
I get that, but to say we have a problem and it's called Muslims because there are some extremist Muslims is tarring all Muslims. You would agree that the vast...
No, I don't agree with that at all, but you have extremist Muslims that are in a class by themselves. It is a problem in this country, and it's a problem throughout the world.
In the Factor follow-up segment tonight, the Islamic faith and politics. Dr. Ben Carson is stirring up controversy after saying this.
Really go back to Muhammad and read about his life, not only in Mecca but in Medina, and his subsequent life, and the hadith, and the whole story of his life, and the beliefs, systems that were brought out of that. It will give you a much better impression. Islam is not a religion. It is a lifestyle that doesn't really allow the separation of religion from politics.
Joining us now from Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, Dr. Ben Carson. So, Doctor, that kind of blew up after you had said that. So you want to explain it any further? Islam is not a religion. It's a lifestyle. Explain what you mean.
Yeah, it's, a lot of people think that Islam is religion. Now, being a Muslim, that is a religious component of Islam, which is the lifestyle that really goes back, as I said, to Muhammad. And you have to look at both the Quran and the Hadith and the fatwa and all of this to really get a conglomeration of the many aspects of it. And one of the components, if you take all of it, is Sharia. And there is a component also that sees Islam as the preeminent force in the world, dominating all others. Anybody who doesn't agree with them is either eliminated or brought into subjection. Now, there is a reformed movement. There are reformed Muslims, just like there were reformed people in the Christian faith. And most of the Muslims who are in America are reformed. They don't take in all of the stuff that I just mentioned, which is a good thing, because that would not be very compatible with our lifestyle.
So let me ask you this: you think the vast majority of Muslims in America are of the reformed nature, therefore don't necessarily believe Sharia law supersedes the U.S. Constitution?
I certainly get that impression. You know, I grew up around a lot of Muslims growing up in Detroit, and I didn't get the impression that they were non-patriotic. But obviously, as we bring more people into our country, we need to examine carefully who they are, why they're coming here, where have they been. You know, we have to become intelligent in the way that we screen people. I wouldn't screen people on the basis of their religion or their belief system, but I would screen them in terms of what their likelihood is to cause problems in our country. If we're not smarter, we're going to suffer the consequences. And remember, in the Holy Land Foundation trial, you know, a memorandum was discovered, explanatory memorandum that said that it would be easier to accomplish civilization jihad in America because the Americans would be so interested in political correctness that they would allow their own rights to be compromised.
Does faith play a role in politics? Does faith play a role in governing? And I'm specifically thinking of President Obama. Should his faith play a role in how he treats extreme Islamic terror?
Well, you know, people can say that faith doesn't play a role, but of course your faith plays a role in everything that you do. What you believe in and what you don't believe in. Even an atheist has faith in something, and it affects the way that they relate to other people and how they relate to the world. So the real question is, in our country, in the United States of America, do we make provisions for that? And the answer is yes. The very First Amendment of our Constitution protects your faith. Right. And your ability to live according to your faith. Doctor, and we should be very cautious of anything that dampens that ability.
All right, Doctor, you sat down with the ladies of The View, and it got a little bit heated at one point. Let's take a listen so our audience knows what went on, and I'd like you to comment on it.
This guy is, I'm sorry, he's a racist, and he's not good for the country.
What's the alternative? I look at the big picture. I could look at any one little thing and pick anybody apart on it, but right now, the nature of our country is at stake.
Okay, I'm listening for that answer. Is Donald Trump a racist?
No, he's not a racist. But you know what the left does? You know, if you don't agree with them, you know, you're a racist, you're a homophobe, you're Islamophobic, you know, they have a whole passel of terms that they're going to throw at you. And what people have to do is stop being afraid of these names. You know, this is like third-grade tactics. If you're going to let that keep you from doing and saying what you need to say, then you are a third grader.
All right, Dr. Carson, thank you very much for joining us.
Member of Parliament, Geert Wilders, is causing tension across the world with his anti-Islamic rhetorics. Well, he needs 24-hour protection, but that's not stopped him from provoking controversy. He's been talking to Roche Today's Charlotte Loms-Farley.
The Quran is a fascist book which incites violence. These are the words of Dutch MP Geert Wilders, who has sought to ban the Quran in the Netherlands. He's had numerous death threats for his outspoken attacks on Islam and immigration, which have also provoked uproar at home and abroad. He now plans to release a movie on the Quran, which he says is deliberate provocation of Muslims worldwide. Geert Wilders, thanks very much for joining us. Now, because of your views, you have had numerous death threats and you live under police protection, but that still hasn't stopped you pursuing such a radical stance. Now, why is that?
Well, I don't think my stand is very radical. I'm just an honest politician with growing support, fortunately, in the Netherlands. But if I would moderate my voice, if I would stop saying what I really think, the terrorists, the people who don't use democratic arguments but use undemocratic arguments like death threats that unfortunately I get almost every day, they would win. So I will never stop, because if I will stop, or if I will moderate my voice, if I will not tell the truth according to me, then the people who use threats will win. And I believe in a democracy, those people should and will never win.
So being such a vocal critic isn't just a publicity stunt?
It's not a publicity, no. I pay a high price for it in my private and professional life, so I would never do that for publicity reasons. It's a real problem, it's a real threat.
But don't you feel that your outspoken views could be counterproductive and simply further racial and religious tension?
Well, of course, this is not my aim. I don't want any tensions, I don't want any riots or trouble, but it's too late to only have sophisticated talk amongst one another. We, as the Netherlands and Western Europe, we were too tolerant too long, ignoring the problem of the Islamization of our continent.
Now, you're about to release a 10-minute film on the Quran, which has already provoked outrage, really, and warnings from the Muslim communities all over the world. Now, why are you doing this, and who do you plan to broadcast it?
Well, I'm still negotiating with